a video earlier I want to watch. Hold on. Chat, let me just give this video a try. It was what's the name again? Patrick. No, it didn't say pre-watch.
Jonah Hill once said, "I think I'm pretty good at making movies, but I am not good at being a famous person," and then spent his whole career proving exactly that. Everybody has a different perception of Jonah. Some see him simply as a comedy film legend. Some see a self-important nepo baby who takes himself too seriously. Others see a toxic man-child who weaponizes therapy speak to control his girlfriend. And if they aren't talking about any of those things, they are hyper-focused on his weight loss and weight gain, gawking at him like some sort of zoo animal. Over the years, Jonah has attempted to respond to all of the hatred towards him, but every time he does, things only get worse. Critics and fans never seem to be satisfied, making it seem like he just can't do anything right.
I came up like, you know, in goofy comedies and this kind of like curly-haired, overweight kid, and everyone had their own opinion on what I should be, how they could speak to me, how they could treat me.
Jonah Hill went from a complete nobody to securing roles in countless early 2000s comedy bangers. The 40-Year-Old Virgin, Grandma's Boy, Click, Accepted, Knocked Up, Evan Almighty. In 2 short years, he became a reliable secondary or tertiary character that would give audiences funny moments.
Ask me about my wiener!
However, it's unsurprising that Jonah got so many opportunities early on, considering he fits the standard definition of a Hollywood nepo baby. Jonah's father, Richard Feldstein, is an extremely successful Hollywood business manager who manages the business and financial affairs of high net worth and high income clients. Richard started as an accountant for various Hollywood acts and notably served as the accountant for the iconic rock band Guns N' Roses. Jonah's mother, Sharon Feldstein, is a costume and fashion.
I don't really give a shit if somebody's like a nepo baby in that role. The guy had roles that fit who he is, and he did wonderfully at that role. I mean, I don't give a shit. If somebody got a job that he doesn't deserve and they can't deliver, yeah, a nepo baby, I'm gonna get mad about it, sure, whatever. But I can't think, and of course that by design, but I can think that anybody would do a better role than a lot of the role that he was successful at. He did exactly the job.
Fashion designer in Hollywood. Her first big job was working as an assistant to Mr. Daniels, who was the executive producer on the set of the popular 70s and 80s show Taxi, and from there worked on various popular 80s and 90s TV productions. Jonah grew up in Hollywood, and with his parents' connections, he had too big of an advantage to fail. Then again, he proved to the world that his parents weren't the only reason he would be successful after his hilarious performance in the smash hit Superbad. Superbad was written by Seth Rogen and his childhood best friend Evan Goldberg to loosely resemble their real experiences as teenagers. Teenage Seth would be played by Jonah Hill, making it his first leading role on a major Hollywood set. Jonah knew this was his biggest opportunity to date, so he wanted to make sure everything went perfect. He did not hold back from letting everyone know that he did not want Christopher Mintz-Plasse to get the role of Fogel, aka McLovin. Immediately after Chris's audition, Jonah Hill was like, "Not that guy." In the film, Seth and Fogel have animosity towards each other, which was also the case behind the scenes. Seth Rogen said,
"You know what? This would be a hot take. I think that's a good thing, because when they play their role, it'll actually play into the character, and they don't even have to act. They can just method act it, and it becomes like a masterpiece. They build itself. I don't mind that. I don't mind that."
Have animosity towards each other, which was also the case behind the scenes. Seth Rogen said Jonah effing hated him. He was all over Jonah's lines, completely disrespectful of the process, probably due to a lack of experience. Then Jonah said, "Chris just immediately shut me down, so combative. I was really annoyed because this guy wouldn't let me say anything."
Jonah Hill hated me so much after my audition. I walked out. I get it. I was 17. I was not a professional actor. I kind of went in, I was in high school and we're playing high school kids. So like Jonah's roasting me, and you remember being in high school, you were just like, yeah, it's my buddy roasting me. It's not gonna bother me. I'm gonna roast him back. And that's what I did in the audition. And I left the room. I was like, oh my God, Seth signed my script. Nothing's gonna happen, oh my God. And Jonah's like, that guy. To like Judd Apatow and Greg Mottola and Seth Rogen, he's like, that guy, don't cast that guy. And they all said, we gotta cast that guy.
After Jonah told director Judd Apatow not to hire Chris, he said, "That's exactly why we're hiring him. It couldn't be more perfect. The fact that it bothers you is exactly what we want." And their intuition was right. Jonah despising Chris only helped the hilarious dynamic between their characters on screen.
Can you say something to me?
I wasn't with you when you parked.
Yeah, but dude, saw from afar that I was parking there. You should have said something.
I didn't think we were gonna be that long, man. I didn't. You're so stupid.
Since McLovin became nothing short of a cultural icon after the movie's release, Jonah's contempt for him makes him seem like a jealous co-star in hindsight. Despite having far less screen time than Jonah, McLovin stole the spotlight. Maybe Jonah knew Chris was great and tried to prevent his casting to make himself look better. Or maybe he was just young, working on a life-changing project, and his stress was through the roof. But you'll notice Jonah's petty behavior would grow to become more of a pattern.
It's just me, like, if you sit down and you really think about it, I feel like, why would you get mad? Like, it's obvious that's his role in the show. Is if he's so outrageously goofy that it'll be a more intense spotlight.
As the years went on, Jonah's role as Seth is considered by many to be the best work of his entire career. He delivered countless hilarious moments that remain quotable 20 years later.
Hey, Greg, why don't you go piss your pants again?
That was like 8 years ago.
People don't forget.
Superbad became one of the most successful, and my personal favorite, early 2000s comedy films, securing $300 million when including revenue from DVD sales. Unfortunately, it also cemented Jonah Hill as the funny fat guy of Hollywood.
So, Jonah, do you think it's important to be unattractive to be funny? Can skinny people be funny?
I don't think it has to do with like anything besides just being funny and like being yourself.
How heavy were you in Evan Almighty?
I just don't think it's like I don't think it has.
The interviewer is dumb. The response is dumb. Bang. This is one of those things where like you're trying to find who's wrong, whatever, but everybody is wrong.
Anything to do with like what?
Even though that interview clip was a comedic sketch, it does accurately reflect the way reporters and the general public treated Jonah. Hollywood determined that his weight was a defining trait that made him valuable. He often got cast as the overweight, awkward guy who constantly was the butt of the joke. It even defined his iconic role in Superbad. But unfortunately for Jonah, his on-screen image also defined his real life too. You see, comedies have a way of blurring the line between the character and the real-life actor. Comedy films often look like normal people hanging out and saying funny things. And because of that, audiences often assume what they're seeing is just an exaggerated version of the actor's real personality. And for Jonah, that meant a lot of people didn't see him as someone playing a role. They saw him as the funny fat guy. And nobody knew it yet, but Jonah despised this. And he knew if he kept accepting the role as...
Well, if he despised it, then don't be funny and don't be fat. Oh wait, that's what he did.
The funny fat guy, then he would never be able to escape this caricature of himself. From there, he did take on secondary roles in films like Strange Wilderness, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and Funny People, but none matched the success of Superbad. And while voice acting roles in How to Train Your Dragon and Megamind kept him paid, in 2011 he made efforts to establish himself as a...
He was great in that movie. Moneyball, he did fantastic. Probably his top 3 best role. Moneyball, he went fucking heavy. He showed that he can do it. He can be funny through nuance. He can be funny through not trying too hard. He's given a role that's more serious and a little bit of space to be funny. And sometimes he was funny in roles that he wasn't meant to be funny.
A legitimate actor after he landed a major role in the sports drama Moneyball alongside well-respected actors like Brad Pitt and Philip Seymour Hoffman. Moneyball was one of those rare films that was loved by both critics and fans. Jonah's performance was so great, it earned him his first Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor, which you could tell he felt was a major highlight of his career.
I hope it never sinks in a real way because it's just so exciting and, you know, for my family. And when you say you want to become an actor, it just, you know, you shouldn't ever do things for awards or things like that. You should do them because you love them. But something like this just says, hey, you're maybe supposed to be doing the profession you're doing.
But Jonah still had a lot to prove, even to his co-star Brad Pitt. In a promotional interview for Moneyball, Brad heavily implied that Jonah was not a serious actor.
If you could adopt a personality trait or mannerism from one of your Moneyball co-stars, what would it be?
What would it be? A personality
Any
trait?
one of them. If they're sitting right here, that could be one of them. If it's Phil Hoffman, whatever.
No, I got to go with a serious actor.
Okay.
As if his co-star calling him unserious wasn't bad enough.
Okay, that was pretty crazy. Jesus. Yo. That's gotta be a skit. This has to be a skit.
a serious actor.
Okay.
As if his co-star calling him unserious wasn't bad enough, Jonah's worst nightmare started coming true. Instead of his performance being the main topic of conversation, his physical appearance was becoming central to his identity. After Moneyball, he started trying to slim down a bit, and tabloids about Jonah frequently made comments about his weight, writing things like, "Jonah Hill looks like he's regained all the weight he lost a while back, and his fans couldn't be happier? Hey, they're just thinking about his career," implying that he can't be considered funny if he loses weight. You could tell that Jonah tried to downplay his weight.
What the people think, what the critics think, what the fucking press thinks is completely irrelevant. This guy's locked on his career, does things for his career, whatever. So be it. End of story. Bang. He has all the cards.
Loss, as he definitely did not want all of his interviews to devolve into just talking about his body.
All my friends were in college, so I was living like a frat guy. Like everyone was just drinking beer and eating pizza with all my friends. And you know, as I mature, you know, even with this movie, I'm maturing as an actor and growing up and in front of everybody's eyes. It's like just a certain time where you go, all right, it's time to be a responsible adult. You've got to be stop being a kid at some point.
Was there build up to it, or was it just like one day? And
no, it was one day. I made a looked up a nutritionist and called him up and went and.
Do you mind me asking how much weight you've lost? Or
I don't mind at all. I just don't know. I didn't know before or after, whatever.
Did you ever worry that people would perceive you differently? I talked to Seth about that when he lost a bunch of weight. You know?
No, it's so funny. I think people make such a big deal about that, but I think if anything, it's like you can do all kinds of parts now. You know, it's like when you're a big guy, you can't play a thin guy.
You're limited.
It's impossible unless you use that like Captain America digital stuff or whatever.
Are you getting hotter chicks?
Oh man, no man, don't worry about that.
Don't worry about that.
I you know have a lady. That's great.
But eventually, he would shut down interviewers bringing up the subject completely.
Is it a hotter chick?
Are you still considered the fat guy when you go to a party or anything? Because I run into that a whole lot. I'm the fat one. So are you the fat guy in Hollywood still, or is everybody like look at you and they're like, oh wow, you know, this is great, now you're healthy?
Halfway through the question, 5 words in, he should have realized that his face wasn't changing. You should be like, okay, the dumb question, move on. Should have been like, you know what, let me rephrase that and do something else. What a dumbass interviewer. What a stupid ass.
Do you have any other questions that are smart?
For a while, Jonah handled these types of comments like a pro, laughing it off or just avoid engaging with it at all. Because when you're a celebrity of his scale, there's a pressure to stay composed. Don't overreact or give anyone a moment they can turn into a headline. Because if they crash out, then that becomes the story. Jonah...
Well, I mean, yeah, I kind of agree. Bro, I gotta be honest with you, chat. People are probably used to think that, oh, this guy's a guy who gets made fun of and can take it and can do some rebuttals and have fun with it. And then he doesn't have fun with it. That's like the worst thing you could do, in my opinion. Like, yeah, you can deal with it later, but if that goes on the internet, bro, you're gonna get shit on.
Eventually started giving critics a piece of his mind, which did not fix anything. It actually made his life much worse. After meeting Jonah in person back in 2012, CNN anchor Don Lemon tweeted, "Said hi to Jonah Hill in a hotel. Think he thought I was a bellman. I didn't know his name till the bellman told me. A lesson to always be kind." And before we get into Jonah's response, this tweet is a perfect example of how Jonah Hill simply could not do anything right to satisfy the media. In the same breath, Don downplays Jonah Hill by saying he didn't even know who he was, essentially implying that he...
Hey, this is implying that this guy should be respected based on who he is, whatever. Like, fuck off. Just fuck off.
He's not that important, but still expects Jonah to respond to him with a certain level of warmth and respect. It's this weird double standard where a celebrity can be reduced to just some guy, but still expected to act like a celebrity. Unfortunately, Jonah's response only further painted him as emotionally insecure. "I said hi, what do you want me to do? Move in with you? I was in a hurry. Didn't realize you were a 12-year-old girl. Peace." He continued, "I walked out of the restroom and found you waiting for me. Shook hands, said hi, and was on my way. Sorry if you found that rude." Don replied, "Was waiting for luggage. Bellman and I laughed at how self-important you were. Just being honest."
Bro, ironic. This guy's self-important means that he needs to be given a dialogue. Like his presence should be rewarded with more than a hello. Who gives a shit? The fact that he tweeted any of this out to begin with means that he has all these expectations that I should be treated. Guys, this guy didn't... Bro, if some guy didn't say hello, I wouldn't give a fuck. Like, I wouldn't do a tweet about it. Oh,
Be nice.
this guy didn't say
Stardom
hello.
is fleeting, but Don couldn't be more wrong about his stardom because Jonah was skyrocketing in success at the time, proving he was still a comedy powerhouse with the release of 21 Jump Street, which grossed over $200 million at the worldwide box office, and once again gave us hilarious moments that will be quoted for a lifetime.
We're not finger popping each other's assholes. What we're doing is getting done.
But as Jonah's star power increased, his inability to let things roll off his shoulders would get worse as time went on. In 2013, Jonah was interviewed by the Rolling Stone alongside Seth Rogen in anticipation of his upcoming film, This Is the End, which is a stoner comedy about a bunch of potheads facing the apocalypse. However, the interviewers seemed entirely unhappy with Jonah's responses. Seth, we say, coming out of our reverie. No, I'm Jonah, Hill says blankly. That's a great way to start. We blanch, sputter, cough, and try to explain ourselves, but Hill is apparently in no mood to cut anyone any slack, which may just be how he is. He is serious. He is, which I'm not, and neither are Franco or Danny, Rogen had told us. By starting the interview off referring to him as Seth, Jonah is being reduced to the superbad character people refuse to let him outgrow. And the moment he pushes back, not even aggressively, just correcting it, now he's the problem, because to the interviewers, they were just joking. They try to break the ice and begin talking about exercising, to which Jonah replies, my workout routine is of little relevance. For a while, they converse with Jonah.
Okay, at this point, just stop the interview, low key. Like, it's fine to say, yo, listen, this is just not going... Like, we could just take a chiller on this. Bro, I gotta be honest with you, this is like a...
It goes smoothly until they ask a question that pisses him off. Like when they asked, what kind of a farter is he? His eyes nearly jump out of their sockets. I'm not answering that dumb question. I'm not that kind of person. Being in a funny movie doesn't make me have to answer dumb questions. It has nothing to do with who I am. Jonah continued, I've done one of the biggest challenges you can do in Hollywood, which is transition from being a comedic actor to being a serious actor, and I'm really prideful of that. I could have made $1 billion doing every big comedy of the last 10 years and didn't, in order to form a whole other life for myself. Now I have fulfillment doing both. The authors of the article then wrote, that being the case though, you'd think he'd be able to relax.
Chap, you see what's tough is that he kind of gives the world like his like sensitive point, and then people hammer on it, and he's like, oh my god, like, it's kind of sad world out there, but you can't give people exactly where your headshot is at. Like, when you say, guys, my headshot is my weight, well, people are gonna do your weight things all the time. Like, it's what people do. It's sad, but it's the way it is. Like, you can't do that.
Relax a little bit. Open up. Take it easy. Once again, Jonah is in a situation where he cannot win. The interviewers expected him to act like the same goofy, raunchy character he played on screen because that's what people associated him with. If he leaned into it, he'd just reinforce the exact stereotype he was trying to move away from. But the moment he tried to take himself seriously, he came across as uptight and rude. Then again, some people think Jonah's attitude comes across like he is doing this Daniel Day-Lewis level method acting. He did 2 serious dramas at this point, and the rest were comedies. He still had a lot of work to do to prove his dynamic range as an actor. Jonah was so determined to be taken.
Half true. Sometimes people have like a breakthrough roles that really say what they can do. I think, in my opinion, Pattinson had that. He had a couple roles that really, it only took 1 or 2. People said, okay, this guy's not just the Twilight guy. He's not just this bullshit, like a cookie cutter guy. Like, he can actually pull some shit off, and now he can only make 1 or 2. It's that simple.
Seriously, that he took a minimum salary of just $60,000 to play as Donnie alongside Leo DiCaprio in The Wolf of Wall Street. Not only did he know the movie would be a hit and help him build a new reputation in Hollywood, but he wanted to work with one of the greatest directors of all time, Martin Scorsese.
As far as Jonah Hill's concerned, yeah, I met him in Mexico, and he basically said to me, I know people like this. I know what these people represent in the culture. I've met people like this, and there's nobody on earth that should play this character except for me. I'm the man for this job. And I said, no, I hear you. He's like, no, you don't understand. This is my favorite script I have ever read in my life, and I'm destined to play this. So I immediately called Marty. I said, there's an actor out there that, really feels like they're the person for the job. But I think Marty met him a week later, and I heard it was one of the best meetings he'd ever had with
Marty, as in
an
Marty
actor,
Banks?
and hired him kind of on the spot. And And in a lot of ways, Jonah Hill set the tone for this film, I think. He really is one of the most unbelievably talented improvisational actors I've ever gotten the opportunity to work with, and took scenes in directions that we never even thought possible.
Donnie is probably in contention with being Jonah's most memorable performance next to Superbad. Although Wolf of Wall Street is a comedy, Jonah approached the role with a level of commitment that went beyond just being the funny side character. He fully leaned into the world of the film, making you believe he truly was this desperate, greedy, power-hungry, twisted businessman who was constantly on hard drugs. But again, more fame meant more attention from the media, who wanted to push him to his limits. Except this time, he would have to make a formal apology for his actions. On May 30th, 2014, Jonah Hill was walking through the streets of Los Angeles as two paparazzi followed him, filming him.
I like the shorts though, bro. They are pretty sexy.
Yo.
For the next minute or so, they followed behind him, not saying much, but filming and taking pictures. Typical annoying paparazzi. However, at the end of the interaction, Jonah called the cameraman the homophobic F-slur.
Have a good day. Enjoy. Suck my... Oh, a real bully.
At the time, many of Jonah's fans...
Well, Jack, what if he was still in character from that one movie, though? Like, what if he've been practicing for this role, and he has to say it all the time, and we don't know about it? And I'm sure there's a bad...
suggesting the paparazzi were annoying stalkers. But Jonah decided to use some time on his Jimmy Fallon appearance to apologize for using the word.
You know, I didn't mean it in a homophobic way. I think that doesn't matter. You know, how you mean things doesn't matter. Words have weight and meaning. And the word I chose was grotesque, and...
Holy.
You know, no one deserves to say or hear words like that. I've been a supporter of the LGBTQ community my entire life, and...
Holy. Yo, he took a pause, had to lock in to get all the letters in order. Brought to go. Ooh, hold on. It's the L-G... Holy fuck, lock in. Bro, come on, bro.
The members of that community and everybody else down.
Sit it backwards in the middle.
Like that this weekend.
Apology accepted. He seemed to be very genuine. That was very responsible and mature of him. Instead of discussing his upcoming film, 22 Jump Street, many mainstream programs were refocused onto his controversy. When speaking with Howard Stern, Hill said, "I think I'm pretty good at making movies, but I am not good at being a famous person." After 22 Jump Street grossed over $330 million at the worldwide box office, Jonah Hill had officially stamped his legacy as one of the best comedic actors of the early 2000s and 2010s. It seemed like everything he was cast in became an absolute smash hit, but he still had moments where he felt like he had to call out disrespect from the media. In a confrontation live on French television, the female co-host made frequent references to Jonah Hill getting sodomized in his movie This Is the End. As he received the translations through an earpiece, the host continued with another joke about a fantasy she had about Hill, saying, "We would meet up in a hotel room at night. We would chat, you'd make me laugh, then all of a sudden you'd bring your friends DiCaprio and Brad Pitt, and then you'd go away." Implying...
Really, bro? How about instead of doing this performative bullshit these days, you call out when you hear this bullshit on TV, you clip it, you post it, say, "What a dumbass weirdo interview," and you cut his reaction because I don't even want to see it because you say some weirdo ass dog shit.
Saying that he was too unattractive for her to sleep with him. In response, Jonah said, "I'm glad I came on this show to get ridiculed by your local weather girl." It initially appeared that Jonah was simply...
Okay, reverse the roles now. Oh, hi, girl interviewee. Yo, I had this sexual fantasy about you last night where we're at the hotel and you bring your hot friend and the big fat burger gets the fuck out my room so I can fuck the nice one. Like, holy shit. Whoa. That'd be, Jesus. Can we calm it down? Like, see what I mean?
Laughing the joke off and sending friendly shots back. But his response was completely genuine. And after, he canceled all future media appearances he was scheduled for in France. The interviewer eventually apologized on camera with the statement, "Jonah, the problem is that for 10 years I have lived with you through your films. In fact, Jonah, I really had the impression that I knew you. So last Friday, I thought I was just messing around with a friend.
Yeah.
But the reality..."
Don't do that. Yeah, don't do that. Yeah, don't do that. Parasocial fucking loser. I know everything about you. Now I'm gonna act like you know everything about me, and we've been hanging out for years.
Is that we are not friends. This once again reinforces the friendly, buddy-buddy image a comedic actor is expected to maintain in the eyes of the general public. Jonah is expected to be able to take a joke at his expense and shoot the with anyone who feels like calling him.
All she translated.
Et non, vraiment, c'est quand je vous ai vu vous faire sodomiser par un démon de 3 mètres dans dmitry.thumblab que je me suis dit, ça, c'est l'homme de ma vie, ok?
Et vous faites sodomiser?
Basically, she said, when I saw you getting sodomized by this 3-meter beast in that movie, I knew right there and then that I found the guy of my life.
Assez souvent aussi, j'ai entendu, non?
Du coup, eh ben oui, du coup j'ai un fantasme avec vous, Jonah. En fait, ce serait que, ce serait son.
No, just odd. I don't give a shit. Nope. Even in context, it's bad. The whole room was weirded out. It's just weird.
En fait, ce serait que, ce serait son. Juste fantasme, ça marche. Du coup, je finis pas cette vanne.
Yeah, she said she had a fantasy. She said at the same time I had a fantasy about you. Like, and then she double downs again.
Si. Ah, merci Alice, j'ai envie de savoir. Non, en fait, j'ai un fantasme. En fait, ce serait qu'on se retrouve tous les deux dans une chambre d'hôtel le soir. On discute, voilà, vous me faites rire, vous me faites beaucoup rire. Et là, d'un coup, vous ramenez vos potes DiCaprio et Brad Pitt et vous partez.
Okay, god awful. I mean, clearly it's a rehearsed. Okay, you know what's sad about this is that she thought about this probably like the whole week before this interview, right? And that was her one joke where she's gonna stop the show and do her joke and then deliver her joke, and it's dog shit. 1 and 2, it is 100% just like a crit blow at him, and it's like it's parasitical. It's like if he loses a crazy, like, you know what I mean? It's just trash. It's mean, it's trash, and also it's just like this weird sexual, like, fuck off. Just odd. I speak French and weirded out since the beginning.
Fat or ugly, but when he cracks back or tries to correct them, he's the problem.
First of all, you smell good, which is surprising.
Why is that surprising?
I don't know. I just wouldn't think of a guy who would have a nice scent on, and
that's such a like.
That's a.
I'm gonna really work hard to not take that as a shot. You know what I mean? Like, because I think you would smell nice.
A 2016 article best
See, Chad, what's crazy about humans,
describes,
right? Is that something just off the body language and everything? Something can be funny and it continue to be funny, right? Or something can be funny and then just weird and dark, like. It's so little, the things that he could do here, to bring it back to funny, and he chooses to continuously push the weird, awkward vibe. You know what I mean?
That's such a, like, I'm gonna really work hard to not take that as a shot.
And then move on.
You know what I mean? Like, because I think you would smell nice.
A 2016 article best describes the sort of limbo that Jonah was stuck in. Despite establishing himself as a legitimate actor worthy of Oscar recognition, he was not taken seriously in the eyes of the public. The hilarious sidekick roles make up a numerically small but neon bright portion of Hill's career, and no number of contrasting performances can seem to override the public impression of him as a man.
Okay, then lock in, take your money, direct a movie, write the script, and then be the star of the show in a serious drama where the guy has a family and then they divorce and become sad, or and then pop off or some shit or something like that, like just
might at any moment start humping the furniture. Unfortunately for Jonah, the public's perception of him would never change. His desire for approval as a serious actor, paired with his inability to manage the stress of stardom, led him to moving away from the silver screen and stepping behind the camera, focusing more on writing and directing. His first major film he directed in 2018 was called Mid-90s, which was an awesome debut. It is a coming-of-age film about youth skateboard culture in Los Angeles in the 90s. It wasn't a box office banger, but most definitely a classic that I and many other skate fans thoroughly enjoyed. He hadn't stepped away from acting entirely, but his new focus allowed him to fade from the public view while remaining a part of the creative process he fell in love with. His shift in career direction also marked a willingness to be more open about his insecurities and the difficulty he faced early in his career.
I became famous in my late teens and then spent most of my young adult life listening listening to people say that I was fat and unattractive, and it's only in the last 4 years writing and directing my movie mid-90s that I've started to understand how much that hurt. I really believe everyone has a snapshot of themselves from a time when they were young that they're ashamed of. For me, it's that 14-year-old overweight and unattractive kid who felt ugly to the world and wanted so badly to be accepted by this community of skaters.
However, even as he stepped away from the big screen, his physical appearance...
Okay, whoa. You want to be accepted by community of skaters? Brother, the skaters will crush you. Like, come on, bro. Brother, it doesn't even matter if you're good at skating. It doesn't matter if you're good looking. You're going to get made fun of for whatever reason. Guys, it's what skaters do. Like, I don't know if you've never been to a skate park before. Like, bro, you get crushed for literally anything. You just got to be able to take it. Like...
remained a topic in the press. The late 2010s were plagued with articles discussing Jonah's weight, and it appeared that there was nothing he could do without it being brought up. One of the best examples of
a lot more when I was a sponsored skateboarder, and I would literally go on tour, and I would be literally paid to go to fucking different skate parks throughout the city and compete. Like, fuck off.
This is the Daily Mail. It has been documented that Jonah had lost 40 pounds after he stopped drinking beer, a decision he made all the way back in 2016. The Daily Mail would consistently find ways to shoehorn this fact into any article they could, regardless of its relation. Jonah making a quick stop at the coffee shop, they wrote, he lost 40 pounds when he cut out beer in 2016. Surfing with some friends, they wrote, Jonah Hill pulls down his wetsuit in Malibu to show off his bare chest filled with several large tattoos after losing 40 pounds. And after years of this, Jonah responded to a 2021 Daily Mail article once again about his body while he was at the beach surfing. I don't think I ever took my shirt off in a pool until I was in my mid-30s, even in front of family and friends. Probably would have happened sooner if my childhood insecurities weren't exacerbated by years of public mockery about my body by press and interviewers. So the idea that the media tries to play me by stalking me while surfing and printing photos like this and it can't faze me anymore is dope. As tragic as Jonah's history of ridicule was, it was nice to see that he had finally made peace with himself and his image. He continued to embrace this new image with a body positivity tattoo and became
saying you're at peace with it and being at peace are two different things. And I don't mean that he wasn't at peace. All I'm saying is that he's gonna have to show that in act. He's gonna have to display that as a human and not on a written post for me to buy into that.
A cultural symbol for self-love. However, this was a double-edged sword. It wasn't just negative comments that bothered Jonah, but even positive comments about his appearance were deeply upsetting to him. I know you mean well, but I kindly ask you not to comment on my body. Good or bad, I want to politely let you know it's not helpful and doesn't feel good. Much respect. It was only a matter of time before all of this would compound, and Jonah would announce a departure from the public eye to manage and deal with what he describes as a 20-year battle with severe anxiety attacks. It was clear that Jonah had become much more vulnerable in the latter half of his career. He had spent years being ridiculed for one of his deepest insecurities, but was now exposing his most sensitive struggles for the world to see with new confidence. This was thanks in large part to his commitment to therapy and relationship with his therapist, Dr. Phil Stutz. Jonah was so deeply impacted by this that he documented himself attending real therapy sessions in a documentary titled Stutz. The film seeks to normalize therapy and introduce those who may be skeptical of the process. Dr. Stutz discusses a concept he describes as tools, which are essentially coping mechanisms and mental habits you can utilize in moments of stress and discomfort. These tools are the backbone of the documentary's narrative, and Jonah emphasizes their importance in helping him manage the many stresses of his life. However, it would come to light that Jonah hadn't entirely used these tools for good, and he would be accused of weaponizing the lessons he learned in therapy to control and manipulate his ex-girlfriend. Jonah Hill made viral headlines in July of 2023 when his ex-girlfriend Sarah Brady exposed text messages he had sent to her 2 years earlier, shortly after he revealed that he and his current girlfriend were having a child. Plain and simple, if you need surfing with men, boundaryless...
Bro, this is good. This is going back to the rule. Not even the rule. It should be a rule. What you're allowed, but I know people don't know this, you're allowed to break up and just fuck off. Like, you're absolutely allowed to do that. You can break up with somebody without leaking DMs and then accusing them of a bunch of shit in the past, waiting for them to respond with whatever you did to them, and making this back and forth. You're allowed to say, we broke up and I'm fucking off. You can do that. You can absolutely do that.
Inappropriate friendships with men, to model, to post pictures of yourself in a bathing suit, to post pictures, friendships with women who are in unstable places, and from your wild recent past beyond getting a lunch or coffee or something respectful, I am not the right partner for you. If these things bring you to a place of happiness, I support it and there will be no hard feelings. These are my boundaries for romantic partnership. My boundaries with you are based on the ways these actions have hurt our trust. Two things in particular stand out. Number one, Sarah is
I hope he says the right thing. Come on, Patrick, look at it.
Both a professional surfer and model, and Jonah specifically tries to restrict her ability to do those things to continue their relationship.
Wrong. Okay. Just wrong. It's a boundary. Then when you respond to that text is, my job is this. I can't stop doing that. And I understand your boundaries, therefore we cannot be romantic partners. Moving on. Hard. And then you fuck off. It's just that simple. There's not much else to it.
It's also worth considering that Sarah...
Okay, let's say somebody said, yo, I would like to date you. And let's say I'm this dumbass ego Andy, and I say, I only date girls with 6 digits income, right? I cannot have sex with somebody who doesn't have 6 digits income. So unless you have a slip for 6 digit income, we're not dating it. Oh my God, I'm being manipulated. I'm being manipulated. No, okay. My boundary is 6 digits or no fucky. So get the fuck out. Manipulated. Like, bro, I don't think this is very hard of a chat. Is that clear?
Had been doing both of these things prior to when the two started dating in 2021. Almost immediately into the relationship, Jonah began making subtle implications that he was uncomfortable with her lifestyle. He writes, "Oh, and modeling, which is the last profession I would be with as a partner."
Go back. Sorry, I was not locked in.
Relationship, Jonah began making subtle implications that he was uncomfortable with her lifestyle. He writes, "Oh, and modeling, which is the last profession I would be with as a partner." She replies, "Well, maybe you should have asked me more about what I do for work before you decided to date me then."
Fair enough. Now fuck off. Okay. Also up to him to say fuck off. Like at this point, he should know that, okay, now this person is the job. At that point, both of them, it's a 50-50 at this point. They're both in the middle and both of them can fuck off. And now, if they continue, they're both equally wrong.
Jonah replies, "Keep taking me for granted." He sarcastically continues, "Go model. It's a fulfilling life. You'll love it. Real depth and substance and sustainability for relationships." But actually, I'm done with this convo. Besides his seemingly insecure and petty attitude, much of the discussion was surrounding the usage of the word boundaries. Many felt as though Jonah was misusing the word entirely. On the surface, it sounds like he's...
Leave it to the internet to have somebody vocalize an exact boundary and then say, it's being used manipulatively. It's being used to manipulate and take over my life. Oh, I'm about to fucking snap. I'm so mad.
Being self-aware, like he's calmly communicating what he needs in a relationship and trying to avoid conflict. It frames him as someone who's being honest about difficult topics instead of lashing out or controlling.
It is insecure. It absolutely is insecure, but it's a boundary. If my boundary is that I don't hang out with somebody who is six figure income, or we don't hang out. Yeah, I'm being weird, and that makes me insecure or whatever, right? But that's my boundary, right? It's a real I don't hang out unless 6 figures, boom. And it sounds dumb, but if I continue to engage in that, right? Having not met those, yeah, I'm wrong at that point. If that person, like, you know what I mean?
Someone outright, and that's what caused many men online to rush to his defense.
Yeah, he's insecure.
Yeah.
But like, he's not saying like you can't be a human being. He's like, I wish you well. I just personally don't want you posting your ass on Instagram. I just personally don't want you going on these little surf dates with other men. I just personally don't want a partner that's gonna do that. And if you need to do that, you go for it. I wish you the best. You got it. But I can't have that.
I think. Okay, then break up. It's also if that boundary is so strong for him, then it's up to him to break up. It's why I'm saying it's a 2-man game. If she doesn't quit her job, right, and she doesn't stop doing all that, and she continues to engage in that behavior, and he chooses to stay with her, then, like I said, both wrong.
You the best. You got it. But I
can't
have
that.
I think he did a pretty good job.
Yeah,
my
okay,
boundaries are this. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. Isn't that what we wanted? people to express themselves.
Yo.
People to be able to just say what they want.
Spit.
Not keep that inside.
Spit.
Not bottle up. That's what he did. Now, Sarah has a choice to stay or to get. That's it.
However, others interpret Jonah's words entirely the opposite way. Instead of setting boundaries on his own behavior, he's outlining restrictions on hers, which she can wear.
Oh my fucking God. Oh my fuck. No. The boundary doesn't become invalid if it extends to somebody else. They can just leave. They can say, I'm not gonna do that, I leave. Brother, if I'm with somebody, right, and they go, I wanna go out completely naked with no clothes, not even a little bit. I'm like, yo, I'm not gonna go out with somebody who does that. Sorry, right? Like, if you wanna be completely naked, no, outside, in a street, like, no. And that is a boundary that extends to somebody else, and it's still valid.
Who she can be around, and even the career she had before they met. So while it's packaged as vulnerability in communication, it can also be interpreted as him attempting to pressure her into changing her lifestyle to surrender to his expectations. Sarah also shares a text conversation shortly after an argument. She voices her frustration at the restraint she feels in the relationship, noting that she was constantly trying to avoid an uncomfortable situation or argument. She looks for reassurance from him, describing her insecurity that he would eventually leave her. However, Jonah responded with hostility and passive aggressiveness. You're right, we can't do surf social things or develop trust until you consider me and make decisions that give regard to our relationship. I have been as vulnerable as possible, and I'm telling you I am needing you to step up to the plate, which you can, I am sure of it, but these losers don't get your time if you want me. Straight up, it's consideration. If you want marriage and family, you can't use the 25 card. Step up and cut These people don't get your time or your kindness at the sacrifice of minds. It was also revealed that Jonah was forcing Sarah to remove pictures or videos he found to be inappropriate from her social media, once again saying, I've made my boundaries clear, and using degrading language like, it's not my place to teach you. It appears that Jonah...
Chat, I think there's a lot of clues here, a lot of clues. If you thumbs up messages, ironically, you're a fucker. Like, I don't give a shit when anybody says, yeah, it's insecure, but these boundaries have been established. If somebody's talking about facts, like some problem and how something makes them uncomfortable, and you thumbs it up, ironically, you're a bitch ass. You are a fucker. This triggers the fuck out of me.
Boundaries clear, and using degrading language like, it's not my place to teach you. It appears that Jonah would constantly give Sarah an ultimatum. Delete these pictures, don't hang out with these people, or you don't respect me and I'll break up with you. He consistently brings up that Sarah doesn't...
When we're at an important dinner, I don't like when you swear in front of clients. Okay, I guess. Fuck you. Bro, fuck off.
Not respect him when it doesn't read like he has much respect for her either. Take some accountability and operate with respect. It's that simple. F that contest, F that place, and F not respecting me in every situation within surf culture, or you don't get it, and you don't get me. It's hurtful and unacceptable to me. All of this seriously begs the question why he would start dating someone who clearly doesn't live a lifestyle that conforms to his own. Why would he choose to date a bikini-wearing surfer with allegedly tons of toxic friends if they violated his boundaries? It came across to many that he was extremely insecure and trying to change a woman who he was likely not compatible with. Others that defend Jonah see this as nothing more than clear communication. He's being blunt and maybe a bit hostile, but he is angry, and we all get angry. And others see his communication as calculated usage of therapy speak. Dude's a prime example of someone who...
Chat, if somebody tells you that the job you do and what you do that you love is incompatible, okay? In my opinion, the ball's a little bit more in your court, because if you know that there's no future where you're gonna stop what you do to be with them, then you have to leave, because you know more than they do based on the future that you have for yourself. If somebody says, yo, you being a dentist is shit and I hate it, and we won't be able to be together if you're a dentist. And that way, if I'm a dentist and I know I want to be this for the rest of my life, I mean, I gotta leave because I know more about my future. I said, yeah, no, sorry, we're not worrying about it. So she has to cut it.
Usage of therapy speak. Dude's a prime example of someone.
Well, hold on.
See his communication as
What's tomorrow for like, I don't want to spoil it.
Calculated usage of therapy speak. Dude's a prime example of someone who learned just enough therapy speak to weaponize it against others. Jeez, you don't have boundaries, you're just a controlling act. This was easily the biggest controversy of Jonah's career, with countless media outlets labeling his behavior as abusive. However, even those who were opposed...
Everybody wants established boundaries. Everybody wants asked and given clear-cut consent, and when they finally fucking have it, it's expose it to the group chat, send it on social media. I was harassed. Look at these receipts, and clock it. Like, fuck you.
To the way Jonah was speaking to his girlfriend, were quick to say that this was not abuse. Insecure? Yes. Rude? Yes. Toxic? Potentially, but not abuse. This created a PR disaster for Jonah, but he chose to stay silent in regards to the situation. However, he did respond through his lawyers after Zoe 101 actress Alexa Nicholas accused Jonah Hill of shoving her against a door and kissing her without her consent when she was 16 years old and he was 24. His attorney, Marty Singer, responded, calling Alexa's accusations a complete fabrication, adding that it never happened and that she was a serial accuser who has made assorted accusations against multiple men in the entertainment industry. Jonah has continued his separation from the spotlight and hasn't made any form of public appearance since the call-out. Still to this day, most of what you see from him is paparazzi capturing photos of him on the streets of Los Angeles, still commenting on his weight loss whenever they see him looking different. He recently made headlines again after being pictured looking completely unrecognizable, although it's worth clarifying he was on set for a movie he's starring in. Jonah Hill...
Yeah. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Also, if you've lost a lot of weight, I gotta be honest with you, like, I think this is the worst type of clothing. Clothing that half reveals and is loose. Bro. It just looks like you're floating in your old clothes. It looks goofy. It's just that simple.
Whenever they see him looking different. He recently made headlines again after being pictured looking completely unrecognizable, although it's worth clarifying he was on set for a movie he's starring in. Jonah Hill's Hollywood legacy is a strange one. He's undeniably one of the iconic comedic actors of his generation, responsible for hilarious performances that have lasted decades, yet the conversation around him...
This is the madness to his genius. It is what it is. Chat, this is what the thing with art and artists, and I know it may sound a little bit cliche, but this is maybe the illness and maybe the stupid side of him that makes him who he is and makes him does so good in those roles. And we got to catch a glimpse of his roles because of that combination of who he is. You cannot just remove a part of somebody. It's very difficult. You cannot just take a syringe and then remove that one negative part of somebody and think that the rest is going to be intact.
Rarely stays focused on his work for long. It always drifts back to his body, his personality, his relationships, anything but the thing that made people pay attention to him in the first place. And no matter what version of himself he presents, there's always a reason to critique it. If he leans into comedy, he's unserious. If he tries to evolve, he's pretentious. If he speaks his mind, he's toxic. And if he stays quiet, he's guilty. And that's the uncomfortable reality of his career. To a lot of people, Jonah Hill just can't do anything right. But at least he gave the world...
Bro, they should just tag everybody who talks about him and just say, just suck it. It's not that hard. You open up your Twitter and you tag them and you reply, suck it. And you go about your day. It's simple. Oh, a compliment? Suck it. Oh, you don't like me? Suck it. Oh, you lost some weight? Suck it. Oh, shit, this movie sucks when you're in it? Suck it. It's just that. There's not much to it. Bro, you know how simple that is? It's just 2 words. Boom. You make a pattern of, if you always say suck it, the people don't know when you're being insecure. They know when you're being sincere or unsincere. All they have is just that one-sided, one-dimensional comment. Boom. Suck it. Watching Jonah Hill in 21 Jump Street made me like Jewish people again. No one should take anger against 1 or 2 individuals and transforms that into hatred towards millions of innocent. No Christian can be labeled anti-Semite knowing Jews is Jew. Thank you, Jonah Hill. That's an unconventional apology. Maybe it gets to the goal in some weird way, perhaps. I don't know.
You guys seen that movie mid-90s? No. No.